Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to share with you today might just be the most important message you hear all year, and it all comes down to one fundamental principle that separates those who succeed from those who merely dream. You must follow your plan, not your mood. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you woken up with tremendous enthusiasm, with a clear vision of what you wanted to accomplish that day, only to have that enthusiasm fade away by mid-morning, when the initial excitement wore off and reality set in, when the work became difficult, when your mood shifted, and suddenly that plan that seemed so perfect just hours earlier felt like a burden you didn't want to carry. This is the struggle that faces nearly every single person on this planet, and it's one of the primary reasons why so many people fail to achieve their dreams. Not because they lack intelligence or capability, but because they've made the critical mistake of allowing their emotional state to dictate their actions. Your mood is a liar, my friend, and it's a sophisticated liar at that, because it feels so real, so convincing, so legitimate when it tells you that you're not ready today, that you should wait until tomorrow when you're more motivated, that today just isn't the right day to push forward on your goals, that you deserve a break, that you've earned the right to be lazy today. But the truth is, your mood is nothing more than a temporary fluctuation in your neurochemistry, a passing weather pattern in the landscape of your mind that has absolutely no bearing on whether you're capable of doing the work that your plan calls for. I want you to understand something deeply. The difference between people who achieve extraordinary things and people who remain stuck in mediocrity isn't that the successful people never have bad moods or bad days or feel unmotivated. It's that they've learned the discipline to separate their mood from their action, to recognize that they can feel frustrated, tired, unmotivated, scared, and still do the work anyway, because they understand that feelings are not facts and emotions are not instructions. When you follow your mood, you're essentially giving control of your life over to an entity that has no concern for your long-term success, no investment in your future, and no understanding of your dreams and aspirations. Your mood only cares about right now, about comfort, about the path of least resistance, about what feels good in this immediate moment. And if you let that short-term pleasure-seeking impulse be the boss of you, then you will never, and I mean never, accomplish anything that requires sustained effort over an extended period of time. Every single significant achievement in human history, every business that was built, every book that was written, every scientific breakthrough that was discovered, every artistic masterpiece that was created, every athletic record that was set, every personal transformation that was achieved, all of it required people to follow their plan, even when their mood was telling them to stop, to rest, to give up, to do something easier instead. Think about the athletes who wake up at 5 in the morning to train when they could sleep in, who push their bodies to exhaustion when they don't feel like it, who practice the same skill thousands of times when they'd rather be doing something fun. They don't do these things because they always feel motivated and in the mood for it. They do these things because they have a plan, a goal, a vision for what they want to achieve. And they've made the commitment to follow that plan, regardless of how they feel on any given day. Think about the entrepreneurs who work 18-hour days building their businesses, who face rejection and failure, and setback after setback, who could easily quit and go get a comfortable job. But they don't, because they have a plan, and they follow it even when their mood is screaming at them to quit, because the work is too hard, and the success seems too distant and too uncertain. Think about the students who study for hours preparing for exams when they're tired, when their friends are having fun, when their motivation is low, when they feel like they've already learned enough. They do this because they understand that their success depends on following their plan, not on whether they happen to be in the mood for studying on any particular day. The critical insight that separates achievers from non-achievers is this. They understand that discipline is not something you feel. It's something you do. And it's something you do, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline is easy when you're motivated, when you're in a good mood, when everything is flowing naturally, and you feel inspired to act. But that's not discipline. That's just doing what you feel like doing. And that's not what creates extraordinary results. Real discipline is when you sit down to work, even though your mood is telling you that you don't want to. When you push forward, even though you're tired. When you make the right choice, even though the wrong choice would feel better in the moment. And here's what most people don't understand. The more you practice following your plan, regardless of your mood, the stronger your discipline becomes. The more control you gain over your life, and the more success naturally follows. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the more you give in to your moods and skip your plan, the weaker your discipline becomes, the less control you have, and the more you drift from your goals. Let me paint you a picture of what happens when you follow your mood instead of your plan. You wake up and you don't feel like going to the gym, so you skip it. You don't feel like making that difficult phone call to a potential client, so you don't make it. You don't feel like writing that chapter of your book, so you put it off. You don't feel like learning that new skill, so you decide to do it tomorrow. You don't feel like having that honest conversation with someone you care about, so you avoid it. And then day after day, week after week, month after month passes by, and you look back and realize that nothing has changed. That you're still in the same place you were before, that you haven't made any progress toward your goals, and you wonder why, not realizing that the reason is that every single day, you chose your mood over your plan. You chose comfort over growth. You chose the easy path over the path that leads to success. But here's the beautiful part. Here's the part that should fill you with hope and excitement. If you can follow your mood, you can learn to follow your plan instead, because it's just a habit. It's just a pattern of behavior that you've developed over time. And any habit can be changed if you decide that you want to change it badly enough. The key is to understand that you don't need to feel motivated to take action. You take action, and the motivation follows. You don't sit around waiting to feel like going to the gym and then go. You go to the gym. And after you've been there for 15 minutes, you start to feel better, more energized, more motivated. You don't wait to feel like making that important phone call. You make it, and afterwards you feel relieved and proud of yourself. You don't wait to feel like working on your project. You start working, you get into a flow state, and suddenly you realize that hours have passed and you've accomplished more than you thought you would. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. This is such a crucial point that I need to emphasize it again. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. If you're waiting for motivation to strike before you take action, you're going about this backwards. You're waiting for an emotional state that may never come. And meanwhile, days and weeks and months are slipping away. What you need to do instead is recognize that your plan is your North Star, your guide, your external structure that doesn't depend on how you feel. Your plan says you're going to exercise at 6 in the morning. Well, the plan doesn't care if you don't feel like it. The plan says you're going to exercise at 6 in the morning, so that's what you're going to do. Your plan says you're going to spend 2 hours on your project every evening. Well, the plan doesn't care if you'd rather watch TV. The plan says 2 hours on your project. So that's what's going to happen. By following your plan instead of your mood, you're essentially creating an external accountability structure that bypasses all of the emotional resistance and procrastination that your mood is trying to throw at you. Now, I want to acknowledge something important here. I'm not saying that you should ignore your emotions, or that emotions are bad, or that you should never take a break or rest when you need to. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that there's a difference between listening to your body and mind when they genuinely need rest versus giving into your mood when it's just being lazy. If you've been pushing incredibly hard for months and you're experiencing genuine burnout and fatigue, then yes, you need to rest and recover. If you're sick or injured and need to take a day off from physical exercise, then absolutely you should do that. If you're going through an emotional crisis and need to seek support, then of course you should do that. These aren't examples of following your mood. These are examples of listening to legitimate needs and adjusting your plan accordingly. What I'm talking about is when your mood is just being finicky, when it's just looking for comfort, when it's just being lazy, when it's just looking for a reason to avoid doing the hard work that you know you need to do. In those situations, your plan needs to override your mood. And here's something that a lot of people don't realize. When you see it